Hello.
Hey, happy February.
Thank you.
Between between snow and family medical stuff, January can die in a fire. I'm just updating notes now. I just got off a long conversation with Mario um
Yeah,
about the stuff going on the CNCF side, sort of behind the visibility wall. Um,
yeah.
Given how unavailable I've been, I wasn't sure if anyone was going to show up, so I was going for async things. But um,
Um, yeah, so I slipped in an update to the initiative itself.
Oh, cool. I'm working on a README PR to kind of capture what I'm writing now, but what update did you slip in GitHub, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, let me go look at it. Thank you for doing that. I've just
TOC is going to be reviewing the initiatives, and so it seemed like uh,
yeah, yeah. That's
nothing there.
Are they doing that tomorrow or in 2 weeks?
I believe it's tomorrow.
Okay. So I'm spending today on this as well. So let me go look what you put in. How have you been, by the way?
Um, I have not spent much time on this either, but uh, I've
Oh,
been
thank you for
okay
doing
but
this.
busy.
What's that?
I said I've been okay but busy. Um,
Yeah, I'll make a PR later today to this to correct any nits and any updates. I had to go out of state over the last couple of weeks to handle my mom is in New York State and she had a stroke and stuff. And it's
yeah.
but check it out. Can you see my video? I want to show you something really cool. Do you see this?
Oh, you got a pan tilt zoom camera?
No, I finally got my office set up, like with my desk that goes up and
Oh,
down
okay.
and my
That's your standing
books.
desk.
Yeah, basically, I didn't realize how like coupled my productivity is with being set up with like my desk and my computer. Like I was trying to work on a laptop on a couch, and it wasn't until like I'm set up with like my books over there and my desk that I feel like my brain is actually working. This is funny. I'm looking at I'm looking at this here. Thank you for making the slipped in update. I'm putting it in the notes. That's where I'm looking now.
Um,
Is that the
yeah,
update you're
I
looking?
sorry. Update from CNCF efforts was probably the wrong place for me to put the link to the initiative.
Where
Uh,
update from?
I
Oh,
I
oh,
linked straight.
in the actual initiative itself.
Yeah.
Yes. Let me go look at that.
I mean it's not long, but
Yeah, this is actually consistent with what I just learned from Mario. Also, over the weekend and late last week, I got Guac running locally and tried to actually use it. And even on my like local dev environment, I can see what Mario was talking about around scalability. Um, but I can get there when we get there, so we don't jump all
yeah.
over the place. Um, I thought it might be fun to just kind of have some news roundup because I've been kind of catching up on the news too. I actually had
Hmm.
missed that the Python Foundation actually adopted SPDX late last year. So now I mean, I'm hope,
Well,
I'm curious if the ecosystem follows suit or if that's just something Python itself does. But um,
I mean SPDX and Cyclone DX is a long saga with personalities. So
yeah, I was kind of curious if you had a take on it because I also saw that just a few
I,
days ago, the SPDX 3.1 model and ontology and schema were announced, and there appears to be. I'm still digging through the actual profiles to see what they're talking about, but they're saying, well, the notes are there, like it's
the,
expanding to include supply chain, and I wasn't exactly sure what that meant. other than new relationship types or something like that. Um, but
Um, I mean, the summary of SPDX and Cyclone DX is that there are strong personalities who are invested in their particular way of doing things on both, in both projects, who do not like each other.
yeah, I mean,
And so they're both, I think we're going to have two formats for basically forever.
you think? Really? Okay.
Um, I
Because they're
don't
just not going to get along.
I don't see either side throwing in the towel, and I don't see them deciding to cooperate. And so, unless you suddenly get a bunch of third party people who all say, wow, this particular, thing has clearly gone completely off the rails. Folks who are already using Cyclone DX will keep using Cyclone DX. Folks who are already using SPDX will use SPDX. And everyone else is gonna just kind of, I don't know, figure something out,
I see.
is my take.
Okay. Um, hey, we can turn off the recording if you want to, but I would love to see your face because I'm socially starved.
Yeah,
But I don't want to put you on the spot and whatever. Like I'm all.
no, the problem is that I'm running this from a Linux desktop and
Oh, enough said. I used to do that too.
know what's going on with my video.
Yeah, it seems like all these years later, that's still an issue. I used to try to run, you know,
Um,
both Ubuntu as well as Coro, as well as RHEL and other stuff, and it was always a challenge
yeah,
between Nouveau and whatever else it's
I would
turned
I
into.
would absolutely love to have my video actually sending video.
No, it's cool. All right, enough said. I've been there. I'm on a Mac Mini, so it works, but my Linux box, I don't even try anymore. Seriously.
So I'm
Um,
at my office and I'm going to be running home today, so I didn't bring a laptop or anything else in.
yeah, all
And what
good.
we have in the office is the Linux machine.
Yeah. Other notable news. Okay, well, thank you for explaining on the cycle because I've been just using SPDX for now. I've been diving into
I think that's fine. SPDX is a LF
that's why.
project, so
Yeah. And I've been diving into the SPDX tools like the Python stuff. Um
yep.
because as I've been like for example, the Kubernetes SBOM is not in JSON format, right? And many of the other SBOMs being generated are also in that kind of like not JSON format. So I was looking for like ways to convert and just
Yeah.
wrangle XPDXs, and the best I could find was the XPDX tools Python package. It's like
I mean, either that or the bomb tool.
right. So about the bomb tool that I was talking about tools Python. Um,
Yeah.
the SPDX tools Python seemed to be the most fully featured and supported by something that is not a company, a singular company, um, and
Possibly.
and can serialize to JSON LD, which is handy. Um, but on the bomb tool stuff, I can go back to the notes. What Mario just told me, he alluded to it late last week, and I just caught up with him today. He said that as they got into it, specifically with the bomb tool, um,
Hmm.
uh, it's making like a flat list of all dependencies. So like here are all the things that Kubernetes depends on.
Yeah.
Union set massive list. And you can see that in that huge Kubernetes
Yep.
SBOM. And so they've made some changes already, but they have some marked as to do that are not done yet. And
Hmm.
I don't know that there's a expected done time, but they want to move to like more of a tree structure within the actual SBOM. So you've got like Kubernetes and then the actual
Yeah.
Go binary and then the dependencies for it, um, which is more useful, I think, right? So that you're not like, oh, Kubernetes dot star. has this package in it that we need to remediate or upgrade or whatever. So so that was their big takeaway. And when they were generating, um, we're looking to make, like, he kept saying that they need a baseline for CNCF
Yeah.
projects, and they don't want to ask CNCF projects to go do it themselves. So the link I put in is the current state of his automation, which basically just clones every project repo and uses SIFT. But that's going to
I mean,
run immediately into the same problems that we've been talking about, that repo centric kind of
yeah.
way to do it, and it's a big hammer. So I think that he likes the idea of providing projects, if they want to use it, or providing whomever like a GitHub action that can be used in their own automation to go generate
I was going to
SBOM.
say, trying to do this without the project's cooperation is
Silly.
probably wrong.
I think so
It
too.
may be a good short-term solution. On the other hand, uh, without at least one example of what good looks like, asking everyone to do it is probably also a mistake.
Right,
Um,
exactly. So that's why their current approach is like to reset. Like they said they want to use Guac, but it's just too unwieldy. He said that like
yeah,
things were crashing, um, everything from like the collector and other things, but really the main problem was that even when they did like pull in Kubernetes or pull in some of the bigger projects, or try to have a bunch of projects in one Guac instance, suddenly now there's just so many things in the database, like millions and
yeah,
millions of nodes and edges. And so like there's no way to visualize it very well. Um, and
yep,
and so it was at least validation that the problem set that we always thought was the case is the case. um,
yeah.
uh, I was looking at actually the SBOM tools actually use Network
Mhm.
X to and you can generate like for a particular SBOM visual representations pretty easily. Um, so I'm
Well,
working on a little prototype of that, but um,
you can generate them easily. Are they useful or meaningful given these set of dependencies is another question.
right. So
Um,
I think they're useful in that, like,
try to join to get my video going. We'll see if this works.
oh, it's okay. I was just being a little whiny, you know.
Oh no, I would like it working.
With the
So
snow and everything too, I haven't really seen any friends or anything.
I'm going to be right back.
Okay.
There we go.
Hey, there you are. Yeah, my hair's all messy too. Um,
Yeah.
I wish I still had enough hair to have a ponytail once upon a time for a long time. But okay. Yeah, thank you
uh,
for doing the update. I feel like you've a couple times now done things that I probably should have been doing. I didn't expect the last quarter of a year of my life to be what it was.
yeah.
But in any event,
But it also feels like we thought this was going to be a slam dunk, and we, you know, ran out
well,
onto the path, and immediately started tripping over things that we weren't expecting to be there.
yeah, that said, I think we have made some progress. I think that tool that I wrote, I was hacking around with it the other night. There's a couple changes I want to make to it, but largely as a data collector, um,
Hmm.
I think it will be good because it can kind of give us, like, okay, for all of the project, I'm about to run it like we talked about, not just on the singular project repos, but on the entire org for every project, and just see what happens.
Um,
So
yeah,
we can at least see
it,
like who's using SIFT, who's using Trivy, like where and how are SBOMs. Um,
I was going to say it would be really interesting to see what fraction of projects are already doing something SBOM adjacent, at least.
yes, and I
Um,
think that we've got like a lot of, because I'm pulling down all the workflows, uh, and things like that. We can at least, yeah, I can pull it up. I think I
I
showed it
have
to you
a
before.
non-scientific suspicion that SBOMs are actually fairly well penetrated into CNCF,
Hmm.
but um, we don't really have the technology to find them. Like, we have the ability to produce them, but nobody can find them after they've been produced,
Right. So, um,
which is a different problem.
so what I'm going to try to do for tomorrow, since the TOC is looking at this, is when we get off this call, I've got it almost kicked up. I'm going to kick off my tool like I talked about, and it's going to take, I'm guessing, 3 or 4 hours because it's going to do not, it's going to do all of the repos for all of the projects in the orgs, right? And some of that will be fast and some will not. But at least then I'll have a series of Parquet files that I can put up on in a bucket if you're curious or if anybody else is curious. That at least is like the data set of what are all these repos building and doing and where might SBOMs be, um, uh, so that we can at least get like some quantitative numbers to, because I suspect your assertion is correct. And from talking to Mario, he said that he won't give me a direct list because it's behind the firewall and he's trying to keep a real
Yep.
separation between GFI and his efforts and this initiative for reasonable reasons. Uh, but he said
Yep.
that when he looked at all CNCF projects, he said roughly 60% could be SBOM. However, he said many of those SBOMs were either not useful or didn't contain or were he hasn't given me any details, but he didn't say malformed, but like they contained varying levels of detail. Some were source S bombs, some were binary S bombs, some had attestations, some didn't with
Yep.
them, and it was kind of all over the map. So I think the collector thing that I have, as well as some subsequent uh, DuckDB SQL queries and data shaping, will at least put some numbers to that. Um, so I think that I could have for tomorrow. Is the TOC meeting public where they're reviewing initiatives, or let me look at my
I don't know.
I'm looking at tomorrow. Oh no, it's the first Tuesday meeting, so it is public.
Okay.
So I will be there. Um, oh weird, there's such a long lag on my audio. Like I hear it back about 2 seconds later. That's very weird.
I don't know.
Oh, whatever.
Um,
It's just Zoom.
as I said, I've not debugged all the Linux multimedia issues with this machine,
It's hard. I gave up on mine
but
because I
I
have a
blame this
Threadripper.
machine.
I should try because what I gave up on was my Threadripper. But now the Linux kernel has had several new versions, and maybe it all works now.
Yeah,
But
I mean, is my normal setup is both more powerful and Windows, and so I can't tell how much of this is and Chromium, and this is Firefox. So there's a Firefox tax, there's a Linux tax, there's a this machine doesn't have a lot to pay for tax.
yeah, my Threadripper runs Windows now, but it multi boots to Linux as well. And oh, nice. I need to get more handy with Mermaid. I didn't realize we could use Mermaid in Notes.
That's fine.
And
It occurred to me that probably could, and so
it does.
that made me say, okay, why don't I try it?
I did it recently. I looked at Mermaid in detail, and the difference between what GitHub will render and what Mermaid will do is stark. Like Mermaid will do so
Oh,
much
you
more than
mean
GitHub will render.
yeah.
Now I want to try the more advanced Mermaid stuff in Notes.
We've been using Mermaid for some of our documentation in Knative, and so I've had to learn how to make it um, nicer.
I wonder if this works. I'm gonna try something really quick because now this is like technically like ADHD strikes again, but I have to know do stuff like this. It will. So it looks like Notes will do Mermaid things that GitHub won't.
Yep.
Oh, I like this. This is great. And
Um,
um, should,
but it feels to me like we've got the how do we analyze the data problem, but we also have the what data exists and how far are we from being able to have useful data problem.
correct. There's kind of two in parallel. Um, and you kind of need both to make this a success. But I think the first
I'm
one,
not sure that I'm looking to make this a success.
yeah, maybe we just shut it down.
I mean, I think there's useful lessons to be learned.
Yep. I also think that
Um,
there's a report on
but
what exists.
initiatives are going to be time bound.
Yeah, we said
Yeah.
9 months, I think, originally, and we're coming up on that in a month and a half, I think. So it's kind of like do or die time before this is run out of time. And I think there's some things that can be done. Um, there's one other thing that is a technical approach that, assuming we have S bombs or like when there's S bombs, there's a facility that would make aggregating this easier with just using guac. And that is, I know you're on a delay, so I'm good talking slow. Um, so right now, guac uses identifiers that are not globally unique. So if you use guac to do one project at a time, and you save all of the data from each guac instance, there is not an easy way to merge it using the guac schema itself. However, I do think it's possible in a generic way to persist the graph that guac makes in a way that can be merged, right? By making what is now magic numbers to make Postgres perform well enough, actually natural keys, right? That would not be good for Postgres because they're doing graph traversals by making the foreign keys like just numbers, like unique IDs instead of like the full composite natural keys. But if we persist the graph and like drop all of the the non-global unique things and instead use composite natural keys, uh, then it will not all merge quite well, particularly when not using Postgres, by using like Kuzu or or some other actual graph. So that might be a way to like use Guac locally in a way that doesn't ask it to scale to ecosystem level, which you need to answer the questions, but just as a graph creator, a subgraph creator. And then we can more easily merge the graphs, using vectorized stuff and like DuckDB, Ryu graph slash Kuzu, um, and Parquet, so that
Do we know that the natural keys don't scale?
um, no, we don't know for sure, but the direction Guac took, and I actually wrote this up. I can actually find it if you're curious. Like I have a technical description of this because some of the schema underlying the Guac graph causes GraphQL anti-patterns around it. But it's this one. It's the hang on. This I actually looked at in detail. Here it is. Design. Here it is. I'll put it in the notes. When I was kind of doing some research on this last year, I kind of wrote this up because I think this is the one. Yeah, it's the unions.
So this looks
So
very GraphQL specific as a problem.
right, and so I dove deep into this rabbit hole last year because I was trying to use GraphQL to extract the graph and then persist it as like n quads, or JSON LD or whatever. And you end up with a rat's nest of GraphQL. And then I actually came up with a technical approach using some of the stuff from the guild and GraphQL mesh to like dynamically take these node unions and turn them into interfaces as an adapter pattern. Uh, and it's technically feasible, but it's just a whole bunch of work. It doesn't perform well, and you have to love GraphQL way more than I do. And in talking to the Guac team, they're moving away from GraphQL anyway. So then I started thinking, okay, well, why would we do all of this work when the data we want is sitting in Postgres tables? Like all of the entities
Yeah.
are there, and then all of the edge tables are there as well. So that's when I said, okay, well, what if we just connect DuckDB directly to the Postgres database that is Guac?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing now. It's not exposed, but you just have to tweak the Docker Compose file, if you want to play with it locally.
Yeah.
And then using KuzuDB or what Ryu Graph, I'll give you a link if you want.
Sure. Yeah, no,
Yeah, that whole
I
thing.
remember all this stuff.
Yeah, so we can just like slurp in those tables
Yeah.
directly from Postgres into DuckDB or DuckDB is nicer, and then from DuckDB right to a graph representation. And I think that this approach is nice because we don't have to deal with GraphQL at all and all of the
Yeah.
mess. And more importantly, Um, the main operational scalability challenge of Guac is that these enriched graphs just get so big. And if we want to answer just our two questions, like where is this
Mhm.
package referenced and what happened to licensing, say, what we want to do is we want to materialize, ideally in memory, a subgraph, not of the from the much, much, much larger enriched Guac
Yeah.
data. And different questions are going to want different materialized subgraphs, different entity types or
Yeah.
relationship types. And so, like, a viable approach is to use Guac as long as we can aggregate the results, which this would let us do, and then have a way to materialize graphs to run graph algorithms on, which is the premise of this particular initiative,
Yeah.
in a way that performs well. And this is kind of what Neo4j does as well with their approach, where using the graph data science library they have, we can't really use, but they materialize in memory a subgraph, from
Yeah.
the stateful database. In this case, though, we don't even have to deal with the database because it's just a bunch of Parquet files, for the
But
different
I'm
tables.
I'm just thinking that, like, yes, some people like to use numbers as their primary keys in Postgres, but Postgres doesn't require that. Postgres is perfectly happy to use strings as primary keys.
Yeah, maybe a fork or a PR to Guac to say like run in natural key mode. That would let it just innately
I mean,
merge,
if
right?
they were at least measuring, if this is causing you a real problem that, would actually be solved by doing things a different way.
And now that I have my
I mean,
mouth,
they also actually have performance problems, but if you haven't measured it, it feels a lot like premature optimization.
it does. So maybe that's what Guac did. Maybe they just
I,
assumed that this would be a problem, And if they're
I
doing,
with a lot of people who have wanted to optimize all their database usage before they had any real queries running.
yeah, because we can tweak Postgres to use foreign keys that are not numerical, and it might just work fine with the right tweaks. So yeah,
The
that's
right
a good
exact.
point. I can go look at that. I mean, I still think just back at the napkin, if we're talking about, well, you know what? You're right. I don't
Well,
want
you
to
know
just
what?
pre-optimize.
Depending on the natural keys, you might get better performance with natural keys than with numbers.
Yeah, because you don't have to constantly be,
Instead of having a whole ton of effectively seeks to
Mhm.
different areas of the range, you might, B tree things such that, all the things under this are all adjacent to each other.
Yeah, and the data model for Guac already has composite foreign keys. Like that's what those tables are. Those
Okay,
they turn in
great.
GraphQL, those node unions.
Yeah.
That's like they're
So I haven't looked at Guac's actual underlying database schema at all.
oh, you haven't? It's yeah.
No,
If you're
there
curious,
are so many things in the world to look at
yeah, I know.
that um, I am going to, only get into these things when it's a problem that is hurting me. And right now, it is not hurting me. It may be hurting you.
Yeah,
So I'm going to tell you to look at them, and I'm going to
yeah,
stay
I'll
hands
look
off.
at it.
You
Yeah,
can also choose to stay hands off and just ask the Guac team about it.
yep,
I have no.
I have already actually. Um,
Okay.
uh, yeah, if it here, I will put this one in the notes too, just for completeness. I am not asking you to read this, but if you're curious on global IDs and how it affects GraphQL, last October or November, I dove deep into this as well. Um,
Um,
but it's not worth a
I
read.
understand why people get excited by GraphQL. It seems like an enormous mistake to me.
I have I
It's fine.
have completely come full circle on this, and I'm in agreement. And you called it like 5 months ago or something like that. But I had to go off and go deep into GraphQL and actually get my hands dirty with it. And the reality is, I hate writing GraphQL queries. It's awful. Like
I
all of the
actually don't care
fragments
about.
and
I think getting the efficient query planning on the other side is also a disaster.
That is also a disaster. The one thing I liked about it, though, was that the GraphQL SDL, the schema definition language, you know, it has some semantic knowledge baked into it, so you can kind of like have this self-documenting schema, and they actually have an ontology in Guac. I could point you at it, like for every entity
Sure.
that's a GraphQL thing. But then it's all resolvers and federating. It sucks, and that's what this global ID thing is. It's
Well, again, federating it seems like you're taking a problem that was already hard around like building efficient query planning and making it infeasible rather than simply hard.
right. And
And
and I had to
that
research
feels
my way into a corner to
like
figure this out as well, because this whole global ID issue is a thorn in the side of federation, right? So like if I have two Guac instances and they both find the same library, they have wildly different IDs because they're not using natural keys; they're using these global IDs that are not so
yeah.
global, and so you end up with an unfederatable thing, unless again you write
Well,
another
that's
capital
totally
layer.
unique. You can distinguish that, this copy of the library at this version came from this guac instance, and this version of the library at the
God,
same version came from this guac instance.
that's a
The
Dilbert
unique
cartoon, my dude.
may be undesirable, but they
That's a
are
Dilbert
unique.
cartoon. That's like, let's put our tool into the schema, you know. Okay, cool. I don't have anything else to talk about other than I want to go spend the rest of today doing
Yeah.
stuff tomorrow.
Um,
I'm going to see if I can get some numbers and I will slack them and make a
so
document.
practically, before you do that, I want to talk a little bit about what resolving this initiative looks like.
Let's do that.
Um, as noted, we're missing both the ability to query to answer these questions
Mm-hmm.
and the ability to get this data from projects.
Yes.
Um, I think it's worth calling out, hey, these are the two challenges. Specifically, the other stuff does not seem likely to be major challenges. Um, so
Hang
it
on.
feels like
I'm
we've
taking notes as you
explained.
talk. So
Yeah, I see that.
there's two buckets of there are two core problems here.
Yep. One is um, getting the graph evaluation to scale. And the other is getting anything in the graph so that you have scalability problems.
To scale to CNCF.
To scale to the size of a CNCF project, it sounds like.
Well, for Kubernetes or a
Okay.
bigger project like Open Telemetry or some of these very big ones all by
So,
themselves.
so we
But
have there exist projects in the CNCF that make this stuff cry.
yes, already. Yep.
And second, it's hard to actually get the stuff in order to put it in there and make it cry. Uh, I would actually say producing or locating, but
Did you say
I,
producing?
yeah, because it's not clear whether people are producing anything that's non-garbage,
Right.
right?
Well, so and in hand waving terms, Mario said of that 60% of projects that do have stuff that he could find, a lot of them were garbagey or not complete, or an SBOM didn't cover the whole project; it only covered parts of the project, and it wasn't clear what was
Yeah,
in, what was out. So like all of those kinds of things. Um, so I think what I can do for tomorrow, because the thing I wrote last year, the data collector, it also pulls all the security insights files. So we'll at least be able to say, of all the CNCF projects and repos we scanned, here are the ones that have security insights, and here's the breakdown of V1 versus V2. And for what's in them, like especially the V2 one, it has specific tags for SBOMs. do they even use that part of it? So we'll be able to at least like say like
So
who's using it, if that's useful.
there's also an initiative, not initiative like capital I, but effort that GFI is doing for something called dot projects
Dot
to
projects.
collect CNCF metadata in GitHub repos. This is
Okay.
something that he went off and has done in the last couple months.
Is it
And
in the open or is it
it's public in his GitHub.
look?
But he is also like on the CNCF staff and involved in a lot of the efforts to collect and manage this stuff. So, in some sense, it may be his full time job to drive this sort of thing to happen. I can find you a link.
I found it. It's here.
Okay.
I'm looking at it now. Oh, okay. So there's no README even. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Let me look at this. So he's got dot update.
Well, it's it may or may not be competitive with security insights. So we may or may not end up with a SBOM, CycloneDXS PDX situation. Um, but rather than getting into those messy details,
Yeah.
I
I think
feel like what we may want to do as an initiative is explain what we need to change such that these problems could be solved.
yeah. You mean what would need to be
And
changed? I'm looking at his thing, by the way. I'm going to stop looking at it because I don't actually see anything here. There's just a boilerplate kind of thing.
there's there's some other tooling he has. I don't
Oh, he's got
remember where.
submodules. Dot bot. What's this? Oh, he's using. Oh, he's pulling this in as a submodule. Okay, whatever. I'm going to stop looking at it and listen to you. Yeah.
Yeah, again, I'm not saying you need to know this right now. I'm saying it exists, security insights exists. Neither is what I would describe as adopted.
No. Yeah. From yes.
And so um, I think we could reasonably say, hey, adopting something like one of these two would help ease the problem too. Maybe. I
So
don't know if that's what we want to say, but maybe that's what we want to say. And then, but something where we say, hey, it looks like 60% of CNCF projects are trying to produce an SBOM.
yeah. So
Based on the tooling numbers you have, when we actually go out and try to locate and use these things, 10% are usable. That means 50% of CNCF projects are putting some effort into this and failing.
which means that they're open to
Now,
help.
remember, these are hypothetical numbers. They have been pulled directly from my ass with no,
Okay.
actual data.
Well, here's what I'm going to go
But
run today, and I'm going to tell you what I already have implemented and the approach I've taken. I use the GraphQL API to pull a
uh-huh.
bunch of stats and everything, but I also pull all of the security insights files from the multiple locations and case
Yeah.
sensitivities for, and they come in as YAML files.
Uh-huh.
I read them in with a one-liner and turn them into JSON, and then I
Sure.
point
Yeah.
DuckDB at them to explode them and turn
Yeah.
them into tables. So now, like,
Okay.
if someone uses the SBOM software security insights schema, like there's a label and a YAML subblock
Yeah.
where you can put, like, if that's populated, it's a SQL query to determine if it exists or not. So like I already have
Yes.
that all done to like pull all of this from GraphQL, convert it to JSON, convert it to SQL tables in DuckDB, right? So like,
Okay.
and that's already done. Like I'm gonna run this today, so we'll be able to
Uh-huh.
at least say like these repos have them, and I also determine if it's the V1 or the V2 schema because they're quite different. And that's this tool here. It's on my GitHub actually. I think it's on my. Or did I move it to Graph? There it is. Supply chain. There we go. Yeah, I renamed it to Supply Chain Security Collective. I think. Yes. Here. It's that thing I wrote last year. It's here it is. So I will go run this and/or I think there might be a branch I have locally that has better stuff in it that'll do our job. But um, I, I did write like a generic way to answer the questions that you right now it uses more messy SQL than I would like, but it works.
I mean, I'm not concerned about that.
And then this is here's the detection reference. Here's all the things that right now I already have SQL. Again, not there. Put it in chat. Those are the things that I go find based on a combination of full text search and regular expressions, but mostly full text search. And most of this is like when you look at all of the CI workflows that I also pulled on GraphQL.
So the SBOM thing that you're looking at is only in Security Insights V1. Just so you know.
I thought it's only in V2.
It is not in V2. I just looked.
They removed it?
Yeah, because it's a bad idea.
I must have had wires crossed. It is a bad idea because what's actually there is junk. It's like not oftentimes it's not
It's
versioned.
always going to be junk.
And a human has to go update it, and it's hard to make tooling update YAML in an automated way. It's just
yes, yes. That's why they took it out.
Okay. Well then, never mind that.
But I think having the general numbers of it looks like X fraction of CNCF projects are trying to do SBOMs. You know,
okay, so that
Y fraction are actually
because
are actually useful.
Like I've got stuff like this and here. So like just to give a flavor, I'm gonna get off the call soon because I gotta go to the
I'm gonna need to drop.
There's a community meeting in 10 minutes, but my day, but like if you look at, for example, the CNCF security analysis, some of these queries are going to go away because they're messy. But like just to give you a feel for like what I've gotten done already. And this is like I can run my tool and then run these queries and get these kind of. And before I go to any kind of graph representation or anything, this is all just like basic SQL stuff using DuckDB. So we can say like particularly like look at line 73, query 4. Like we can like report on stuff like this if it's what you're getting at. Like, these are all indicators that projects are trying to do right.
But I think also if we find that, say, 50% of CNCF projects are trying to SBOM and failing, that we need to figure out how to make them succeed before we go and ask everybody to try to SBOM.
I don't want to ask anybody to do anything until there's a path, right? So,
yeah. So
that's just making noise and asking them to do things that might not even be worth doing.
So I think for the first example, if you can find an in the wild projects SBOM that actually lets you answer the Guac questions that you want, that might be, hey, here is an example of what we could do on a small project. Note it doesn't work for large projects.
Yep. I have a project already and it's Jaeger. Because I'm on a first name basis with the maintainers. and they were all psyched that they got S-bomb stuff done.
Yeah. So maybe publish that as, hey, this works, but it doesn't scale. S bombs need, need to be structured in this way to make it work. So, like, for example, maybe they're not doing the flat dependency list thing that
So
makes
is
people
it
cry.
useful then for tomorrow to have some of these other things like here are
Don't
the
worry about it for
project?
tomorrow.
Okay, well, what about things like if you look at the very first query, right? Like what
Yes.
ones are using signatures? What ones have audits? What ones?
I, if you happen to get those, it would be handy to put them in the initiative issue. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. It would be useful next week if they got in there.
Okay, I'll see what I can get done today
If
and this week.
tomorrow if tomorrow gives you useful ability to say like, oh, I'm going to crunch on it, then go ahead. But
I think who's using
yeah,
SBOM, who's using SPDX versus Cyclone DX? That's another probably useful data point
maybe.
or not. Okay. Oh, while I
I
have you,
think the
because
more
you
cool
own
is
projects
usually
better than
some
me,
conversion.
what does Cyclone DX do that SPDX does not do? Is there some killer feature or some like thing we give up by using SPDX that Cyclone DX would do?
It's an OWASP project.
Cyclone DX?
Yeah.
What's the implication?
Um, that it is um, it is part of another foundation.
Okay.
It's
So it's closed at
um,
best. Like
yeah.
there's no technical thing that there's no like magic
It,
feature that Cyclone DX does
I
that
mean, they're each going to claim that they have some magic sauce, and at some point, one of them is going to release a new feature, and a few months later, the other's going to release a feature that the first one was going to say, "Oh, and you could never do this in the other." They've been doing this for the last 4 years. Um, yeah.
point of annoyance. I just went to OWASP.org. This
Mm-hmm.
website uses cookies to analyze your traffic and only share that information with our analytics partners. Like this is a little bit on the nose.
Okay.
Everyone uses cookies, but I'm going to see if OpenSSF does the same thing.
I would not surprise me at all.
Really? Oh God, I hope they don't. Oh, this is Gamara thing too that I'm not sure what it is yet. This guy.
Oh, I guess Cyclone DX is also an ECMA standard
Oh,
for whatever that's worth. Yeah, Gamara is an attempt to automate more of the governance processes around software.
using Q.
Well, they're using Q for their schema.
Yeah.
The rest of it, like this
Automated
is
risk assessment. Okay.
yeah, this is trying to um, basically make a bunch of the stuff that was previously spreadsheets into YAML files.
Mhm.
I'm sure you've dealt with those spreadsheets at least once.
Yes. Like,
Yeah.
yes. When I was over EverQuote, we had quarterly audits and it was awful.
I mean, yes. And it's not clear to me if the spreadsheet or the filling it out is the hard part. But um, as a software engineer, I can understand wanting to get rid of the spreadsheet.
I remember it being a huge amount of manual effort and conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
Just, and then when you're done, you have a spreadsheet that's like locked in time that you have to
Yeah.
version. And as soon as you publish
Yeah.
it, it's not up to date anymore. And it was just,
Yeah.
it was frustrating, but it had to be done.
It gets in the way of doing these compliance exercises on a continuous basis. Now, interesting question. If you could do compliance exercises on a continuous basis, would you?
If they were automated, then
Well, like we talk about a hypothetical future world, but like what degree of the compliance things are actually automatable?
yeah. You
Like,
know,
have you done a red team exercise? Is like not really automatable.
oh, we just have a minute left. Can you hit stop on the record button? I want to tell you something that I don't want to
I
tell
don't
you.
know if I can.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just say it. I talked to an unnamed close personal acquaintance who happens to work at Amazon and happens to
Uh
be
huh.
involved with supply chain security stuff and package
Yeah.
ecosystems and internal tooling. And we were talking
Yeah.
about supply chain security. And he knows that I've been nerding out about this for a while now because it's interesting to me. And he said,
Yep.
Matt, I haven't wanted to tell you this for a while, but I feel like I need to now. This was just last week. He goes, nobody gives a shit. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, like
Yeah.
unless you're talking about like a CTO or a VP or some kind of technical decision maker is having a bake off or is choosing which open source projects to invest in, and you want to know like
Yeah.
risk generally, or some sort of like composite score, that's useful.
Yeah.
But something bad might happen if the wrong version of a package happens, like another
Yeah.
Log4j. But we're talking about is like the people that were really messed up by Log4j were people who had manual build processes, and it was hard for
Oh
them
yeah.
to just bump a
I
version
mean,
and call it a
they
day.
are completely lost. Yes.
Right. So he's like, so if my organization or if my teams don't have those kinds of build challenges and can just push a
If we
button
put on
and
hands on forward every morning,
yeah,
then
and if
yeah.
we can just like cut a new version that has the new fixes as soon as they're available, like I don't
Yeah.
care because
Yeah.
it's like it's something bad might happen, and even if it does, remediation is I push the build button again, right? So
Yeah.
he's like, from that perspective, like I don't care in investing time and effort in understanding my transitive supply chain security stuff because if something truly bad happens, it might not ever happen, and when it does, it's intermittent, and the mitigation, assuming I don't have a completely like 90s style build process, is nominal. So we've chosen not to worry
Generally,
about this until something bad
that's
happens, in which
generally
case,
true, except for black swan incidents.
what's black swan mean?
Black swans occur very, very rarely.
Oh, I see. Okay. So like a truly like exfiltration that's been going on for a long time or something like that.
Well, I would say XZ is probably a black swan, for example.
Okay. You mean there
Um,
was a bug in the compression decompression XZ
it
tool?
wasn't a bug.
Oh,
It
was it
was
an
it was clearly a nation state actor.
oh, okay. I
The
haven't.
the one where if it's linked with OpenSSH, it does some dynamic loading of code in order to hook into the initial signing chain to recognize a special key in order to give you a root backdoor on, but only during RPM and deb builds. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that one
oh.
is not one you see often. But
Mhm.
imagine that rolling out, and being in every, RPM and deb based package on every single host.
Or you get that too, like with embedded systems where you're building your own RPMs as part of your build process because you're running on like MIPS or
But
whatever.
but the point is that mitigating that, is going to be a disaster, and
Right.
catching it before is worthwhile. But they happen very, very rarely.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he used Heartbleed or something else as an example of that too, where it's like
Yeah, Heartbleed is
extremely
another great
rare.
example of that.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
it's like you can't really make a business case to staff a team to invest time and effort for something that may not ever happen because there's
Well,
just
and the XZ one was also a social attack on the overworked maintainer to get a second malicious
okay.
maintainer in there, and then a
Oh,
year or so building the infrastructure in order to be able to roll out the compromise.
oh wow. So this is like a long con kind of thing.
It was a long con. Yeah, I need to get to my
That kind
next
of
meeting.
I got to go to my next meeting too. Okay, well, thank you for that context. That helps. And
Yeah.
yeah,
But yes, the normal everyday thing is boring. We've got it solved if you know what you're doing.
Cool. All right.
Yep.